everybody, John here at Keys to Fun with this week's micro lesson. Now what's weird about this lesson is it's not a music lesson. It's more of an inside look at what we've been doing at our store to stave off this coronavirus that is spreading its way throughout our country, unfortunately, and other parts of the world. In my job here, rather, dealing with the public, I obviously come across a lot of people from different walks of life, and we want to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And when we're playing on instruments, our fingers are touching these things, and God only knows where our fingers are either before or after that. And this goes for everyone. You don't really know where they're coming from, and what their cleanliness, I guess, is. We hope to always be as clean as we can, but we're also all human. So I thought we'd take the time here to do maybe about a 6 or 7 minute little demonstration about what I do to keep our store as healthy as possible. And it starts obviously with our instruments. Not everyone uses the restroom when they come into the store. Many do, and we try to keep that as clean as we can also. But everybody gets their fingers on keys. So one of the things that I do as part of my job every day is to wipe these instruments down, particularly the ones that I know were used that day, to make sure that anything that happens to be on them is not on them when someone else comes in to play them, that next morning, let's say. And so you won't be hearing any music today, unfortunately, but I think that this is a very important thing to go over, just due to where we are and how much this, in this case, this coronavirus is really taking hold of the news media. So again, about a 6 or 7 minute, just quick little demonstration. A lot of obvious things, but maybe some things you didn't think of. And if you think of something that I didn't think of, I am more than interested in hearing about other ways that we can keep ourselves safe, particularly in our group lessons. This is pretty important. So let's go take a look and see what I do as part of my job once the door's locked at the end of the day. And hopefully this is something that your teachers or yourselves are also taking some time to do as well. So a little bit of an odd lesson this week. As I mentioned during the introduction, I'm actually not going to be doing any playing for you this week, so I apologize in advance if you wanted to hear a song, but I thought that this would be something that would be just as helpful, and some would argue even more important. And it's due to this, I don't want to call it an outbreak, but it obviously seems as if the coronavirus is here, and it may be in your state as well, and hopefully as small of doses as possible. And a hobby like ours, unfortunately, has us sharing the use of instruments at our music store with other people that may or may not be susceptible to picking something up like that, maybe carrying it from somewhere else unknowingly. And it's just a matter of touching something that someone else has, and then maybe touching your face or your hair or something like that, and before you know it, either you're carrying it along to someone else, or you've unfortunately gotten it. And this coronavirus here is obviously what I'm mentioning. So this is something that I do at the conclusion of every day of our lessons here at Keys to Fun. I'm hoping that it is able to allow us to stave off just sickness in general, never mind something as serious, or it seems to be as serious as this coronavirus that's going on. And it has to do with disposable wipes here. I have a germicidal disposable wipe that I use here at the store, and it is something that's really invaluable when you are using instruments that other strangers are using as well. I could be sick, you could be sick, not even know it. And so it's a matter of just looking at the instrument, and I take some time while people are playing to see what part of the instrument they're touching. And you'd be surprised where your hands go and you don't realize it. And so just a quick a way of just wiping the instruments down. I mean, the first place that I always start, and you can obviously do this at home as well. You may be the only one using your instrument at home, but it doesn't mean that you got something on your hands and maybe you could infect yourself later. That is something that's obviously possible. So the first thing that I think about is, well, when people sit down, what's the first thing that they do? Well, when they sit down, they usually grab, both sides of the instrument to sit themselves down. So that's one of the first things that I wipe down, is just this waterfall cabinet here on both ends. I do this on all of the instruments that we have. And then you think about, well, where do people's hands go next? Well, usually they'll put some music up on the instrument. So why don't we grab just the top level here, as well as the music rack, which a lot of people don't think about, but your hands do make it to the music rack as well. Music rack here, a little bit longer, but still. Nice thing to wipe down here, your music rack. Well, believe it or not, a place that a lot of fingers end up going is this space right between the lower set of keys on the organ and the base of the instrument itself. And it's just big enough to get some fingers in there, so guess where fingers tend to go? Right over there. So we get a little wipe right there as well. Needless to say, the keys, the keys could be some of the dirtier parts of the instrument, and you don't want your wipe to be sopping wet. That's one of the nice things that I like about using wipes as opposed to some Purell or obviously a non-commercial version like that. There are a lot of them out there that are a little bit smaller. We have one here, just a hand sanitizer, and you could put this on a rag, but everything tends to stay. I don't know, I get a little bit nervous putting liquid on a rag like that and then wiping the keys down, where these wipes are obviously pretty good. Now another place that we may not think about, you go to sit down, what do you touch? You touch the bench. So we get the sides of the bench here, every side of the bench. If you want to wipe the top of the bench, you can wipe the top of the bench down. Now usually I use more than one wipe. I'm going to be doing this all again on all of our instruments in just a few moments, but you can see just touching this here, well, I don't know if you can see this from where you're sitting, but this is just from today, and it's pretty gross. So again, I do this every single day at the end of our lessons. Obviously buttons would be next, and the dirtiest button is your power button, because it's the one you always hit, okay? So you want to make sure you wipe not only your power button, but around your power button, okay? One of the nice things about the newer Lowrys is that the buttons are a bit set into the instrument a little bit deeper than the older ones, which means that you can just simply take a wipe and wipe right across the whole panel and grab most of the buttons. I do my screen here as well, the whole panel, okay? And I just think of places where, the cheap lock here, some people put their thumb drives on a cheap lock, or a pen or a pencil or something like that, so we make sure to wipe those down as well. These are just little things that hopefully your music teacher is doing as well. If they're not, maybe bring them in some wipes and trying to think of a way to do it and not be offending them. But our health is first and foremost, particularly for many of our students. I have young kids that are touching their face and their hand, all the time, and obviously we have older people as well whose health can be compromised for a variety of different reasons. So anything that you can do to make sure that you're keeping as clean of an area as possible when you're dealing with the public is very, very important to me. And so again, I hope that this lesson was worthwhile. I feel kind of silly not playing anything for you today, but this is such a big thing in the country right now, and I've received a lot of phone calls from students concerned about, are we still going to be having our group lesson? Are we all going to be playing? I keep some Purell right at the desk that is always available to students, but I think I'm actually going to start keeping it maybe right near the instrument so that you can wipe down either before or after when you go to sit down and play. Again, thank you for watching this. It's I guess not really musically based today, but we have to be healthy in order to play. So we'll wrap up here now, and next week we'll have some more music for you. In the meantime, there's about 40 different lessons that you can take a look at that we've already covered on our YouTube page, and maybe that'll stave you over till next week. So again, thank you for joining us, and stay healthy out there, gang. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I hope that that was at least informative, if not educational. Again, I think it's a lot of common sense stuff, but sometimes we get very busy and we forget about doing these very common yet very important things. Keys to Fun, as I say every week, is very happy that you take the opportunity to view our videos, myself in particular. I know, as I say every week, that your time is valuable, and I appreciate you taking a little bit of it to spend with us. Next week, we will be back playing some music for you, but again, I felt like this was a very important topic due to how much of it is in our faces at the moment. So if you have any questions about that or any suggestions about what we do for cleanliness around here, particularly our own students, I want you all to see that that when you come in here, everything is ready to go and hopefully as germ-free as possible. Keys to Fun represents Lowry as well as Yamaha Clavinova, and we are open and available to answer any questions that you have. There are a variety of different ways you can reach out to us. First of all, you can visit our store. Our address is 1665 Hartford Avenue. We're located in Johnston, Rhode Island. You can go to our website, which is keys2funmusic.com. On the website, you can subscribe to get these videos. They'll be sent right to your inbox every week that we do one. You can also chat with me. There's a little chat box there, and you can chat essentially live with me, asking any questions that you have. You can send us an email right to the website, which is info@keys2funmusic.com. You may be watching this on our YouTube page. You can subscribe to the YouTube page as well. And finally, you can go to our Keys to Fun Facebook page. If you just type in Keys to Fun Music and Lesson Center, we should come right up. You'll see things that are happening at our store, and you can reach out to us that way as well. I thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm sorry there's no music, but I hope that this was time well spent, and we'll see you next week for a brand new song.